Hi, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you for subscribing if you are subscribed. And if you're not, I hope you'll do so. I've been thinking about this. I know I've mentioned many times I used to work on Capitol Hill as a staffer, and I don't mean to bore you with it. However, remembering a few things, there are people in each House and Senate office called caseworkers, and we are paying them with our tax dollars. And you know what the main job of the caseworkers are? They are to run interference and solve problems of constituents for things like, oh, I don't know, Social Security, the Social Security Administration. I remember that was basically almost the entire job of these congressional office caseworkers. It was usually Social Security and the Veterans Administration, the things that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are now doing their best to screw up so they can say, see, it doesn't work. There's waste and fraud. We have to privatize it because that'll be more expensive and they all make money that way. And we don't. So that's what the whole deal is. And they want people to die off. That's how they will achieve their savings. They simply don't pay it. Older people need the money. Just like with Medicare, they want people old, sick, dying. They want disabled kids gone. We've talked about this. This is how, Trump saw over $200 billion in savings when so many people died from COVID, preventable deaths that he was responsible for because of his lies and his incompetency. So I'm thinking that everybody, if you have even a little bit of problem with Social Security, Veterans Administration, or any federal agency, or if somebody in your family or someone, I say go to those Republican offices, House and Senate offices locally and in your state. The caseworkers, some are in DC, some are in the district offices. Most of them are in the district offices and the state offices because, they want to be closer to the people. So if an elderly person comes in and says, I'm having problems with getting my Social Security check, or a veteran comes in and says, I'm having problems now working through all the bureaucracy to get my veterans of my VA benefits, or people have problem with the IRS or any federal agencies. This is literally what the job description is for these caseworkers that you're paying. So I say they should be deluged with every little problem. All right. And when they can't solve it, you know what? We speak up and say, hey, Elon, we think we know where you can make some cuts. How about cutting these jobs from congressional offices since, you're cutting the agencies anyway? So that's one thing to keep in mind, that there are people who are being paid with your tax dollars to solve these problems. So I say, let's give them the problems to solve because it's happening out there and it's bad. So that's something that I think can help stop Elon in his tracks. And I think we need to. I think we recognize that Elon Musk is a danger. He's unelected to anything. He's unvetted. He does some very scary, weird things with his businesses that fail. Gee, that sounds like Donald Trump, doesn't it? And we do have some power. I know during the election, sometimes I'd pop up here on YouTube and I'd give us kind of like suggestions of what we can do. And I think most of us have felt really, really helpless in the past 2 months since Trump took office. And it's a horrible feeling. So let's do things where we can. So right there in your hometown, your home state, you have these, if you have Republicans as elected officials, you go to them with this casework. A lot of people don't know that this function exists in these congressional offices. They call it constituent services. And you'll notice in different elections, in various elections, how your congressmen or congresswomen and your senators will brag about their excellent constituent service that they give. This is what they're talking about. These caseworkers that perform the function of helping you navigate issues and problems and bureaucracy with the federal government. I bet Trump doesn't even know these jobs exist. I guarantee you that Elon Musk doesn't know these jobs exist. Just like they were not aware that Congress has oversight function as part of their authorizing function for the various federal agencies. Different congressional committees have oversight and budget authority over the federal agencies for those committees. And they perform audits and they can have hearings to look at waste and fraud or duplicative programs. or something is outdated. And they do that, or they can if whoever is running the Congress wants them to, or the chairman wants them to. And like I've told you all before, I've worked on that before. You don't need Doge to come in and do this. Now, if Doge has some ideas about tracking this and doing better, then they should go to these congressional hearings and talk about it. And that's what you do. So what's happened here is Trump ran on, oh yeah, all this waste of fraud. We're going to save all this money because those Democrats, they're just crooks. He has to find that enemy. And the whole thing is to tear it down so they can bring in private contractors to privatize the federal government so that he and his rich buddies make money, because they will take their cut. And that's already happening, as I mentioned, I think in a video yesterday. Firing federal employees and then bringing in contractors to privatize things at DOD. They're not really cutting spending, folks. They're just getting rid of people to replace them with more expensive contractors who don't have accountability, okay, and don't have standards. So Musk is getting exposed on some of this stuff. And I'm reading this from Wired magazine, okay? They're saying it's a heist. So real federal auditors are horrified by Doge. So there are already people that do that perform this function of auditing and keeping track of these programs, to seeing where, okay, we can cut back on this or change this, modernize this, and that's what they do. It is not this great big criminal operation that Trump and Elon Musk would have you think. Is there waste? Is there places where we can cut? Absolutely. Cutting out the fat, and we should have those that stuff be exposed. And if there are overcharging on things that we need at DOD, we should know about at that and cut it. But Trump and Elon Musk would have you think that regular federal employees, your neighbors, are these crooks or something, and they've now lost everything. So Elon Musk, let's see, you got these couple federal auditors in Wired magazines that are saying, with years of experience, saying that they've worked both financial and technical audits for the government. And they say that Doge's actions are the furthest thing from what an actual audit looks like. And they wanted to speak on the condition of anonymity because we know that Trump goes after people and he's becoming more bold, and he literally wants to have people fired or imprisoned for criticizing him. So here's a quote. Honestly, comparing real auditing to what Doge is doing, there's no comparison, says one of the auditors who spoke to Wired. None of them are auditors. Well, we know that. These are kids. These are hackers. These incels that somehow glommed on to Elon, or he, I don't know, recruited them for something. It's terrifying, and we know that. It's shocking. And these are not people, these kids are not even as sophisticated at this stuff as your run-of-the-mill, mid-level congressional staffer that works as part of a team to do these audits, to look at the spending. I mean, Congress has to do this every year for their budgets. Each committee does this, and then they report it to the budget committee. The budget committee doesn't do all this stuff on its own. There are all these different committees, and they each have authority over the agencies, and they put it all together. And they can do as little or as much auditing, I guess, as the party in control wants to. Well, Trump didn't make a big deal about this when he was president before. They could have done it. When Newt Gingrich became speaker, he did it. Or we did it, I should say. And you do find some things that have, maybe they got a little bit bloated or a bit lazy. And that's a good thing to do, to cut out the fat and find some savings. That is not what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing. So when your MAGA friends say, oh, you're just against cutting out the waste and fraud and blah, blah, blah. Deep six the fraud talk. There's very little of that. Waste, that's what you have congressional hearings for, because one man's waste might be another man's, life-saving program. And that's why we have hearings. That's why you have staff working on this full time. This is literally their job all through Congress. And if Trump doesn't know that, then he's stupid, which we know he is, but he's also just dishonest, and he doesn't care. So again, if we don't have congressional staff, particularly in the majority, that are doing this, fire them. Fire them, just like those caseworkers. If Elon Musk and his team of 5 incels, teenage incels, can do the job of thousands of congressional staffers, let them make that case. but they're screwing up and we know it. And they're overestimating the quote savings by 80%, or not estimating, they're just lying because they found out that, oh, there isn't waste and fraud to the degree that Trump claims and has been running on. And so they have to invent it and just lie. I sincerely think that Trump and Elon Musk were unaware that this is literally the function of Congress. He thinks Congress is supposed to be in service to him and go out there on TV in service to him. If it's not on TV, it doesn't happen for Trump. That's why we have this frightening array of cabinet members just because they're TV cartoon characters for Trump, and he respects that because that's what he was. And so this is why he's stupid about what Congress does. Literally thousands of staffers in DC looking at federal programs and analyzing them and either trying to build them up or cut them back, shift some around, get rid of some, again, to modernize. Trump and Elon Musk don't know this. But again, I think Elon Musk is finding out. So their solution, they're not going to say, oh, sorry, guys, we didn't really know what Congress does. So that's why they have to invent this stuff and lie. And they didn't come up with Doge to save taxpayers money and to streamline the government. It is to destroy our government as it currently exists and replace it with contractors where the oligarchs make the money. Again, with little accountability or oversight. And it will be more expensive for us in the long run, which is why the feds have changed their projections for this year. Inflation will be up. Unemployment will be up. And it's because of Elon Musk and Trump. So I'm looking at these Wired quotes, and it's really pretty devastating. So the standards that they use are time honored and pretty professional with the GAO, the Government Accountability Office. And they did a study that was published in 2024. And they did estimate that the government loses money with fraud. And that even recovering all of that spending wouldn't amount, let's see, 233 billion. Yeah, that's about the bottom end of that, of fraud each year. So can they find that? Yeah. But even recovering all of that spending wouldn't amount to the 1 trillion that Musk hopes to cut from the budget. And I think that's really important because there's an awareness that there's some fraud and fraud in the federal budget. Now, when you think of how huge the federal budget is, those are big numbers, but not in terms of a percentage. It's minuscule. That said, let's save that money. Okay? Musk doesn't care about that. Musk is getting money from us, the taxpayers, that a lot of it is wasteful and he's incompetent and we shouldn't be giving it to him. But again, right now, because I kind of wanted to focus this talk on what congressional offices do. The caseworkers are there to perform constituent services for you and me and everybody we know, all of their constituents, when we need somebody to help us with some problems with Social Security Administration. So what Trump and Elon Musk have done is they've just made that worse. They've just made that worse for us. And even those caseworkers are not going to be able to get through on the phone, do anything that we can't do. It's going to be a mess. The caseworkers are not going to be the ones to go travel 2 hours to the closest Social Security office now that they're closing a bunch and stand in line for several hours. They don't do that. So perhaps Elon Musk should know this, and they should have congressional offices, the Republican ones too, fire their caseworkers. Why not? That's what they're doing, right? If you're firing federal employees, get rid of those caseworkers because they can no longer solve these problems for the VA and the Social Security Administration. All new problems that Trump and Elon Musk are creating. Why not? Also, if Elon Musk and his band of, these teenagers, these 5 guys or however many there are, if they can do the job of thousands of congressional staffers, let's get rid of those congressional staffers. Let's see what Republicans think about that. Anyway, It won't happen, but I think it's important to understand what the actual functions are of congressional staff. And it's not about Marjorie Taylor Greene giving speeches and threatening people on behalf of Donald Trump. Donald Trump literally and Elon Musk literally have no idea what the role of Congress is and the role of congressional staffers and for the congressional offices. And that's a little bit frightening, don't you think?